plays like that if he's going to take Serral down. He ties it up 1-1. Serral went for the gamble, went for the attack. It started well, but Rogue's defense's scramble was good. That hold on the ramp just barely keeping him in there. And once the Banelings were out, the upgrades were on the way. Once he stabilized, Rogue held onto that advantage very well, showing the caliber of player that he is.
That's right, so both players very evenly matched here, and I'm loving it. We're going to have an incredibly exciting series here. Serral getting focused and ready for the next game here. Game 3 just moments away. I'm so happy both players have prepared something a little bit different here. You don't always see Serral, who's just so confident at playing a regular quote-unquote CDZ. He comes in there and goes, I'm going to go for a big mind game Ling Flood and just try and win straight up. Both players taking each other extremely seriously, as you'd expect, at the biggest tournament in StarCraft 2 for the year.
Yep, you know, Serral doesn't necessarily tend towards these sort of builds, but in the last year he's learnt that his prediction so good at just surviving those punches, and he can definitely take a beating. And he ended up surviving that game and, of course, pushing that series through to a very decisive victory. And he now is here going for the standard third base timing. Both of them are doing so. A nicely timed Baneling Nest from both players. And this is about as standard as it gets. They're going to use a few defensive Banelings to zone out any big swathes of Zerglings coming in, poking around and looking for the scouting. And in this sort of setup, you can absolutely go Mutas as Rogue. It's obviously a little bit more exposed against some of the ground-based roach pushes that Serral does favor, but the real battle is going to be about information. What we need to look at is it's unlikely either of them just builds non-stop Zerglings and tries to win. They're both too good to fall to that. But what we're going to see is both players trying to run Zerglings in circles around the opponent's base, gaining as much information as possible, because if you can figure out the direction your opponent's taking, you can figure out how to get one step ahead of them. So Rogue is going to have to pay a lot of attention to stopping Serral seeing everything on the map. If you let Serral see what's going on, he's gonna counter it, he's gonna get ahead in workers, he's gonna survive, and once he gets to the mid to late game, he is unstoppable.
Certainly seems that way. Just such a mirrored game here from both players. Defensive Banelings going up, neither player getting aggressive. Both players just happy to chill and defend that third base and get up into the mid game. Evo Chambers nicely timed. Third base is on 2.5 minutes. Baneling similar in count here as well. Rogue looking for that scout. Serral denies it. He's just like, yes, have a look at my third hatchery. That's fine, but please leave.
Nice quick lair on the way here for Serral, as well as, of course, that evolution chamber. Very curious to see what upgrade does queue up. It looks like just a +1 range. And indeed, it is going to be that for Serral. It's going to be the Roach War in the +1 range. And Rogue on the other side, confidently going into his own +1 ranged upgrade. That tells us he wants to play Roach versus Roach. Rogue is not afraid of Serral. He's not going to shy away from him. As much as we've been respecting Serral's late game play, Rogue is ready to take it to him there.
And I believe in Rogue's ability to do it. Like, yes, Serral has been showing us win after win here, but Rogue is so good at this composition as well. Artosis mentioned on the couch, he loves actually playing the lurker game as well. Very EU Zerg style. A scout there from Serral once again. Just always seems to sneak that 007 James Bond Zergling into the main.
And he does, of course, confirm there wasn't all the gases taken. The lair wasn't finished. He knows there's no threat of fast Mutalisks. But once again, both players following up with Overlord speed. Neither one of them trying to cut corners and gamble and take risks. They want to see everything that's going on this map. And a very quick fourth base attempt. Serral already moving this drone out. Both players tied pretty much neck and neck in the worker count. They've been going back and forth on who has a lead of just 1 or 2 workers. But all things considered, this is about as mirrored as a mirror match can get. They're both going for roach upgrades. They're both going for a lot of economy. They both look like they're going to be heading for a quick fourth base in the near future. The only difference now, a second evolution chamber from Rogue. Looks like he wants to get the double upgrades on the way.
Which could actually amount to a big advantage for Rogue here the more time he has. Double upgrades, huge here in the mirror matchup. Just a single Evo for now for Serral. Just starts that second one as well. So there is going to be a bit of an advantage for Rogue. Serral sees that with the Overseer. Doesn't quite have enough for a Contaminator or anything like that. So just scouting here.
Macro hatch on the way there for Rogue in the main base. Something where, you know, just going to make sure he always has an abundance of lava to remax on those roaches if needed. But the quicker fourth base there for Serral as well. We've got 2 Dropper-Lords on the way here for Rogue and 1 for Serral. Both players doing the exact same thing. And even Serral's out of the second evolution chamber. They're both doing the exact same thing. We are just going to see who is better at it. Who can harass with those roach drops better? Who can engage with the roach ravager on the front more cleanly? Who can take the more efficient trades? And this is going to be fascinating. There's actually, yeah, a second Dropper Lord does load up there. One's going to go down the north, one down the south. It looks like Banelings in both of them for Rogue. Nice. Looks like he wants to hit those mineral ions.
He's got roaches in the one here to the north, and Serral, has he broken off that Dropper Lord here to the south here? I've lost track of it, unfortunately.
Ooh, Lings on the south side.
There it is.
Serral still poking as well. Yep, this Baneling drop going to come in, but Rogue reacting very quickly. He's going to shut that down. And both players dancing back and forward. Serral up in the army supply right now. He's going for a lot of roaches and ravages. Hasn't started investing in tunneling claws and burrow just yet. Rogue's going to go for those a little bit quicker. Both players dancing around. So much respect between these 2 Zergs. Neither one trying to finish this early. They both want to go up to the late game, and they both want to fight in a big engagement. They want to take each other on head to head. No one trying to force the issue until they're both ready.
Comes the Dropper Lord here from the south from Rogue, looking for that drone line.
There's no Overlord spotting over here. He has no idea about it. That could get a lot of kills.
Oh, this one's spotted.
That's going to distract in the main. Ooh. And there we go, Spore on the left-hand side, zoned out the Baneling drop of Serral. Queen's in position in the main base, as well as 4 Roaches. Serral very well split up, but here we go on the south side. Oh, nice response there by Serral. Pulls the drones away, doesn't lose anything. He's still looking for damage on his side of the map as well. This Baneling drop going to come in, but the Queens are going to find it, and that's going to get shut down. Both players not finding any damage. Rogue up 6 workers right now, teching into lurkers. It's actually Rogue who's going into lurkers a lot quicker in this game. Serral a bit behind on the tech right now.
Certainly is, and for all you guys watching from home and here in the convention center, just look at that minimap. It is non-stop movement from both players. It's almost like campaign, like 2 computers are controlling the Zerg units here. They're just non-stop.
Tunneling Claws is finished now.
Oh yes, we see that Tunneling Claws there for Rogue. Actually gets under the Roaches here of Serral. And he's going to start hitting those drone lines. Serral needs to split up his army. He had a big push going through the map that's pulling all the way back.
Yeah, and that's really bad for Serral. Serral doesn't even have his Lurker Den started yet. Rogue here, it looks like he's the one who's establishing some advantages, takes out a few workers, creates some problems by dropping these Burrowed Roaches in the back of the base. Serral gonna have to devote a lot of time to cleaning that up. Meanwhile, Rogue pushing through the center, just wants to create pressure, look for little bits of damage. He doesn't want to overcommit. Rogue has a massive income and better tech behind it. He just wants to look for small, favorable trades, and that's what he's doing. He creates threat at the front, and that allows the Roaches to unburrow in the back. Serral losing more workers.
This is something that Serral's been doing against so many Zergs here for so long, and Rogue doing it just as effectively here, getting more and more drone kills at the middle lines of Serral. He's down 20 workers here. These Roaches get caught, but still Rogue finding so much damage.
Yeah, I mean, Rogue doesn't mind losing Roaches here or there. He's got a Hive on the way. The Lurker Dens are almost finished. Plus 2 Carapace on the way as well, getting ahead in the upgrades. Only now does Serral's Lurker Den begin. So this does create a big window where there's going to be much faster Lurkers and also much faster adaptive talent upgrades on Rogue's side of the map. But Serral here just poking around, splitting his army up. A lot of his army's actually pushing on the north side. Serral here with a ballsy maneuver. Rogue not going to risk the base trade, pulls home to try to defend this.
Dropper Lord he prepared earlier. It's been chilling over creep for so long, just now getting back into the fray. And there is also a Hive on the way for Serral, scouted here by Rogue with his still alive Burrowed Roach. Serral looking for an angle here. And Rogue's just been all over him. Overlord scouting, keeping him in the know. Serral cleans up some of Rogue's creep. No creep spread at all for Serral, funnily enough, on the other side of the map. Bit of a difference here between both players. Faster tech advantage for the Korean Zerg. Seems to be one of the only Zergs in the whole world happy to take Serral to the late game.
Yeah, those Lurkers are almost ready now. Serral's going to start looking, of course, for an edge with the Tunneling Claw Roaches going in towards the third base, but they get caught. There we go, Rogue's all over it. Serral's Roaches actually going to slide through because he's hitting the front at the same time. Serral catches the Ravages in the open, snipes a whole bunch of them, pulls out of range of the Lurkers, and Serral once again finds a great engagement at the same time, uses this distraction, slips the Roaches into the main. Rogue is in trouble.
Amazing quick maneuver there from Serral, giving himself the advantage in this game. Picks up the hatchery down the south here, knocking Rogue down to 4 bases. Serral has a 5th back on the other side of the map. His Burrowed Roaches are still in the main, causing problems, and his army winning a fight here on the high ground as well. The 4th of Rogue still in trouble if Serral wants to commit again.
Oh, even losing some Ravages as he goes in to clean this up. Not a good trade there for Rogue. Serral there finds an edge, and this is buying him the time he needs. His own adaptive talents is on the way. He's adding these extra tier 3 upgrades, but Rogue there, always the clever player, is starting a Nidus Swarm. He's going to try and send Lurkers into the main base of Serral and backstab him.
Big catch here from Serral, finding the Burrowed Roaches here of Rogue, looking for a quick snipe, and he's going to follow them all the way here. No way for them to run or hide.
Oh, that's a big catch. That was
oh no!
Oh no! It's a trap. There's no way out of here, Maynard. Those Roaches frantically trying to get out of there, but the Lurkers are going to say nah, and those Roaches will be going down. Rogue taking the worst end of these last few trades. Serral defending the Roaches on the top at the same time, and every single Roach gets shut down there. Great defense by Serral. Nidus Worm in the main though. Has he spotted it? I don't think the Finnish players spotted it. There's so much going on. And if you get lurkers in their main base above their ramp, that can be so hard to clean up.
This could be it for Rogue. Let's see if it pays off. Serral sees it. He's pulling his army back. A changeling holding his army out.
In the wall.
Oh, Serral just realizes it now, giving Rogue precious few seconds, burrowing a bunch of lurkers there on top of that ramp. Wow. Serral powers on through though, with a lot of explosive files.
The splash damage from Rogue is huge on that ramp.
Wow.
But Serral landed some impressive biles, gets his own lurkers burrowed in the ground. He does have detection. Does he have enough? I think he might just barely clear up the last of the lurkers, and Serral manages to hang on. He loses his lurker counterattack on the other side of the map though. Both players trading punches like crazy.
31 more Hydralisks on the way here for the Finnish Zerg, using those lurkers to get the rest of these roaches dead, to get rid of that Nidus Worm as well. He needs to clean up the main base here. He loses a few workers, but in the end, both players very similar worker supply. Serral with a lot more army, he's maxed out and looking to punish Rogue for his transgressions.
And already Vipers on the way. Remember that 5th base for Serral has been mining gas this entire time. Gas is the important resource in this late game because it's Vipers that actually take down the lurkers, and right now Rogue can't afford any. He's even supply blocked on top of that.
The Hydras of Serral moving on through it, taking Overlords with them. A burrowed play here, but Rogue with the Spore Crawlers offering detection here. He's all over this attack. The main attack of Serral, though, is moving down the south end of the map here of Lost and Found. He's looking to try and get those lurkers in a nice position. Rogue is doing a good job at keeping him honest, though. +3 Carapace on the way here for Serral. Rogue still has that advantage. Once again, using burrowed roaches to try and sneak through the infrastructure of Serral to try and get some harassment done. The Overseer here of Serral Patrol, though, does catch this burrowed movement. Serral's going to catch him here.
Yeah, great preparation. Rogue's still going to dive for it. Might be a little bit overly ambitious as those lurkers and Hydras jump on top of it. Nice snipe on one of the lurkers. He's going to split into 2 of the bases, but this is a good reactive split from Serral. He's pursuing them. The roaches getting into the main, and Natural actually doing some nice damage there. Rogue here creating some problems, finally putting Serral on the back foot here, really just dancing around, and Serral is struggling to clean this up right now. Rogue doing a fantastic job. Of course, we can see Rogue there trying to keep those roaches alive. Look at the speed with which he's doing it. It seems like most of his roaches have been cleaned up. He's got lurkers though everywhere on the defense. He's finally established his 5th. He says, okay, I've got the upgrades, I've got the walls of Spore Crawlers, I've got the 5 bases up, let's just sit down and calm down. What he doesn't know about necessarily though is that Viper count on Serral's side of the map, and that's the scary part.
The Vipers could ruin Rogue's plans here. There's a lot more tier 3 tech here for Serral. And of course, Spire play generally ends up happening later in the game if both players can't crack the defenses. Nice lurkers here for Rogue, can catch some of these roaches. Another Nidus attempt in the main base.
Ooh, I like these plays here. A lot of Serral's army out of the map. He's having to bring
he's on this one.
Okay, yeah, those lurkers there should be able to shut this down. I think he's actually going to try and bait the units from evacuating there out of the Nidus. And it looks like that one will be going down. At the same time, skirmishes all over the map. Little squads of changelings trying to provide vision for both sides, but they're constantly on top of manually targeting down those units, which are, of course, imposters trying to pretend they're part of the army and just follow along, provide vision. We've got a lot of units on the north side there for Serral.
Is Serral getting a second hive?
Yeah, that he is. I think he was worried about the main base dying to a Nidus Worm earlier, so I saw him upgrading that into a lair before as well. So I don't think it's a mistake. I think it's preparation in case his main goes down and he can't build Vipers. That's so actually a bit of insurance.
Not something you see every day there. Nice play there from Serral. The Overseer here of Rogue keeping an eye on the mineral lines here, seeing that saturation. A lurker drop here from Rogue, looking to get inside that mineral line. Could be a lot of dead drones on Serral's horizon if he succeeds to get in there.
Oh, this is so cool. Rogue is just looking for the big plays. You know, Serral's doing a lot of small backstabs with roaches, but Rogue is looking for the Nidus Worms. There we go, another one going in the main. At the same time, lurker drop might be poking in. Yeah, I think he's going to use that distraction, and he's going to look to try and do some big damage on this base. The lurkers drop on out of there. They burrow. That spine crawler is going to disappear, as are a handful of drones. Meanwhile, the main base is defended. Serral posturing at the front. Ducks finally coming in and gaining a little bit of value. 2 lurkers pulled to their doom. It seems like both players going back and forth. The bank building up. Right now, I think Serral's lead is in that gas bank, but we see this drop doing some good damage. The lurker den is going to be falling over there.
Looks like Rogue actually going for another 1-2 punch here. If it doesn't work on one side, he can always utilize the other. Ooh. Oh, and an attack here on the hatchery in the low ground as well. Yeah, Serral not in position.
That's gone. Serral's going to have to give that one up. Doesn't want to force his way down there. The Lurkers are just going to siege up defensively. Roach is still posturing on all sides. Just the threat of these Nidus Worms is such a pain to deal with. No detection there for Serral, so his Lurker can't defend, has to send some other units back, but he at the same time is trying to poke with some Roaches across the map. This is just raw mechanics versus mechanics. Who has the best skill? Who can try to control so many situations better? And it seems like no one's going to get one big finishing blow maneuver. They're just going to pick away at each other and see who gets the most value over time. Great defense there by Rogue. I'd love to see that units lost tab at some point in the near future here, because I feel like it's quite close, but my...
Whoa,
Serral is...
apparently not.
Wow, 3,000 gas, 4,000 minerals, more efficient from Serral. And you can see it in his improved gas bank. That's the more important resource here. Serral's actually also playing with a lot less workers, so Rogue is okay to be inefficient because he's mining more in the short game, but in the long term, his bases will mine out, his gas will mine out. So if the game goes long enough, Rogue may exhaust his resources a lot sooner than Serral.
Switching into Serral's first-person can here, using Lurkers to defend, not unlike Rogue. That little Roach run by, very, very cheap for Rogue to just send in a small group of Roaches and get some drone kills. But of course, as we mentioned, Serral wants more army supply, does not really care about a giant drone count at this point because he has that bank already, picking off some changelings of Rogue, sneaky changelings, and also attacking this hatchery, being seemingly everywhere at once.
I feel like any player other than Serral would be so stressed out by those constant Nidus Worms, but he just seems to be taking it in stride, and here we go, the abducts! He's going to abduct the Lurkers. A Blinding Cloud goes down first. The Hydra's going, but he's afraid of the enemy abducts as well. The Vipers yanking each other to the other side. The Hydra's starting to focus them down. Good reactive Blinding Cloud. Serral.
Wow! Gets the last couple of Vipers there, and Serral's Vipers are still alive. He can continue to press the issue here. More abducts picking off some of those Lurkers. And there are more Vipers coming out for both players. Serral still basically maxed out here, but doesn't want to press the issue. Still happy to be patient.
That was so sick. He actually saw two of his Vipers got abducted, and he instantly Blinding Clouded all the Hydras, managing to get both of his Vipers back to safety. Only these guys at this level of play are able to react that quickly, keeping those Vipers alive for another day, and more trades on the south side of the map as the players look for the advantages. It's all about the Vipers. That's what is going to have the range to just pull units out of that Lurker siege, pull them into your army and take them down. Rogue, though, still continuing to deny bases on the north. Rogue is playing this sort of less efficient, overwhelming style. He wants to drown Serral, but I feel like Serral's efficiency is just too good. I don't think this is going to work for Rogue unless he finds some better trades. Yes, Rogue has more bases than Serral right now, but look at the bank. It doesn't seem to be making a difference.
Right, there is a finite amount of resources here on the map, and these Nidus Worms aren't free either, Pig, so even though it seems like chump change considering his bank, eventually it all stacks up, especially when both players are just playing that extreme late game and just happy to play this one out for the long, drawn-out game.
We talked about it at the start of this series. If you go to the late game against Serral, he has a magical ability to take small, efficient trades over and over again, and eventually you find yourself many thousands of resources behind. But Rogue has something to say about this base in the north side. He jumps in, snipes 3 Lurkers, pulls back. Great micro there from Rogue, realizing those Lurkers didn't have the support they needed.
This Nidus gets up. Serral bringing in some of those Roaches. This Nidus isn't even loaded up here. He's just pulling the units of Serral out of position.
They've been so well defended so consistently. At this point, it's just a distraction.
Oh, nice.
But these Lurkers finding angles on the bases. That's Serral's only 6th base. Is mining out a little bit on his 5th. His 4th and 3rd already very dry. This is really cool multitasking from Rogue. And I mean, he's still got a good bank. We keep talking about Serral's overwhelming efficiency. Well, guess what? Rogue's mining so much money, that's not going to come into play for another 10 or 15 minutes in this game. Serral is going to have to really weather the storm if he wants to hold on against Rogue's gigantic economy.
Full energy Vipers here. Rogue looking to come across the map with a big army. He hasn't done this, I feel like, in 15 minutes, but he's coming up now. So many Hydras here from Serral, but a nice position here on these Lurkers. It's so tough for Serral to engage this position. He needs those Blinding Clouds.
Oh, but he uses it to actually get some Lurkers on the north side at the same time. There's not a lot of support down here, and these Lurkers are quite clumped, so perhaps Serral could Blinding Cloud and pounce on it, but it's a very scary engagement to go into. Hydras reacting on the north side are going to try and dodge those Lurker spines and clear that out. At the same time, if both players dancing back and forward, some abducts come in. The Lurkers get pulled out of Blinding Cloud as well. Serral takes down about 6 of the Lurkers there. Rogue's position on the map getting very dicey.
He's counter-attacking on the other side of the map as well. Being down almost 30 workers, not a big deal here for Serral, as his army is still superior. And with this counter-attack, does he get that hatchery? Just barely not here. The reinforcements of Rogue pushing him back for now.
Rogue here, he's still holding this position, being annoying, but I don't think annoying's enough. Abducts come down, the splash damage. Ooh, actually there's still 3 lurkers there. And Rogue maintaining this position, his Hydra's abandoning it. They're gonna dive south, take out the rally and a hatchery. More and more of Serral's workers are going down. This is turning into a problem now. He still does not have a 6th base up. He's lost one of those expansions. Rogue has still got this top left base and the one in the bottom center. Rogue has got a lot more mining. He's got a healthier work account. And he's still maxed out. Both players still with huge banks. But we're getting to that point where if Rogue loses one big army, he's not going to be able to replace it with only 2,000 gas. Serral, with about 5,000 gas in the bank, has 1 remax before he's going to be knocked out of money.
Oh, the Vipers here getting a few Hydra shots. He gets a couple of those lurkers on the bottom end, but Rogue is going to lose some of his own here on the high ground. Counter-attacking with a lot of Hydralists. They eat a lot of lurker spines, but he has so much more where that came from.
Rogue! The blinding cloud! Finally, it goes down. And it does force those lurkers to pull back, but it already takes a lot of splash damage. More lurkers coming in from that side as well. Rogue stressing Serral. We're finally seeing Serral on the back foot, but no! Even when he's getting pressed on all sides, Serral is able to defend and hang on, sniping down the Overseers with the revenge. He manages to supply block Rogue once more. Rogue being forced to build Overlords. Serral hangs on to that base in the top center, and that is so important. He's going to punish as well in the top left. Rogue still trying to attack from all sides, trying to overwhelm Serral, but Serral's efficiency over time is paying off. Look at the gas banks. He's up 3,000 gas in the bank. He's wearing Rogue down slowly over time. Serral is not being broken.
Another supply block here for Rogue. Still more Overlords in the production tab. And Rogue is looking to try and counterattack, but Serral already has an army moving to meet him here. The Changeling's also giving him a bit of a vision. The high ground advantage and the Viper advantage is Serral's. Rogue has sub 1,000 gas right now, and if he's stuck making circlings at this point in the game, that is not going to be good. 2 Vipers versus 6, 11 Lurkers versus 10. Looks like Serral has the better army at the moment.
Yeah, this is what we saw happen later on in that game versus Dark yesterday. It hit a point where, yeah, Dark was maxed, but none of the Vipers and Lurkers were left. And when you don't have a good Viper Lurker count, things can get very troublesome. And a lot of layers going up all over the map here for Serral, trying to rebuild those Hydras here. And Roaches trying to create some threat. Rogue still trying the Lurker drops, but none of them has really got that huge payoff damage he's been looking for. Serral still on a very small economy though, only about 40 workers. But that means he's got more army to work with. Rogue going to try and expand to the entire bottom right-hand side of the map. If he loses that side of the map, he's definitely out of this game. Serral's still got a huge bank to work with, and he's starting to posture forward. He's looking for the abducts.
Big abducts from both players here. Blinding Clouds again to keep those Vipers alive. Loses a couple of them. Another big grab there from Rogue. But the Blinding Cloud's still coming in clutch for the finish Zerg. And he's defending on the other side of the map as well.
Oh, the Spore shot down the Lurker drop. The Lurkers killed the Lurkers as they unloaded on the north side. Lurkers kind of running past each other. Not something you see every day. Serral's going to turn around and try to come back. There's no detection there for Rogue, so Serral should be winning that engagement. Rogue's going to try and get out of there, but once again, Serral wraps around, and 5 more Lurkers go down. Rogue cannot afford these losses. He is broke. He can't remax. The economy, it has been ahead all game long for Rogue. He's been throwing wave after wave at the Finnish player, but he's been standing like a rock. The Finnish Phenom, the Night King, here has weathered it. He's up to 4k gas in the bank, 6k minerals. Serral has held on. He's still got that base in the top center, and his army is monstrous. The quality of these heavy gas spellcasters is insane.
Serral has been so efficient for these 26 minutes here in this game 4. And this means that he is poised to overwhelm the Korean Zerg here. Maxed out, looking to get across the south side of the map. Rogue still has his base in the bottom right, but just mostly static defense here. Oh. And with Rogue losing so many Lurkers, how can he hold this position against Serral's army?
He's out of position, and not only that, there's just too many units here for Serral. Serral's going to gain position on this base. If that base goes down, Rogue's economy is toast, and it falls. Serral not going to overcommit. He's going to fall back for now. He's still got the Vipers in the sky above this, and he gets another snipe on the hatch. Doesn't even get the cancel. Serral feigning a retreat, and then goes right back in and shuts it down one more time.
Rogue so desperate for that gas income. Sub 300 gas here. His gas income is so low here. And there's just more and more pickups there from Serral. Rogue running out of steam here. Serral just getting bigger and bigger as he starts to absorb this map.
I mean, Rogue is one of the best late game players in the world. He has held that title for a long time, but it seems like today
the blinding clouds.
Found Serral is the player who has just been more patient, stronger in the defense. His ability to catch these armies has been incredible. Rogue with a desperate counterattack is going to dive in and snipe some hatcheries.
He can, but can he stop Serral's army if they go head to head? The Roach is getting a lot done here, even picking off the hatchery for the top left there from Serral. Lots of hatcheries dying. Those extra hit points on the Hive keeping it alive for now. These Lurkers catching some Hydras as well, which Rogue cannot afford to reinforce. Every single gas unit that Rogue loses is very hard for him to replenish. Serral is going to clean up Rogue, and I have a feeling he's going to get across the map and finish him off.
Rogue here has very few tools left to work with. You know, when you are 28 minutes into a Zerg versus Zerg and you've got Zerglings that you're building, you are in trouble. Rogue, of course, with no gas, being forced into a desperate position, building Zerglings with no attack upgrades to spend that gas bank, trying desperately to get his economy back up. But once again, Serral never going for one big punch, never overextending. He just pokes, he jabs, he works the body of his opponent, and we see that here, forcing the cancel on the south side again. He's got an army in the top, denying the top left expansion. Serral here, happy to be on less economy because he just doesn't lose his units. He's so much more efficient. At this point, he realizes Rogue is starving, and he's willing to abduct even the smaller units like the Roaches and Hydralisks.
It looked to be about 8 Vipers versus 0 Pig. That is a dire situation if I've ever seen one here for Rogue. But he knows he's on an elimination map, so he's still holding on, trying to do his best with what he has. He has nothing left to lose here as he just tries to find the miracle engagement here on Serral. There's tons of Lings coming through here, and there aren't that many Lurkers, so maybe you can pick up some units here in the... But can Rogue make this happen?
And the Lurkers there are just so scary. There's no Vipers here. Rogue's going to try and dive, but look at that pullback. The Lurkers there, the Hydra's coming in as well. And these Lurkers are starting to get focused down. Rogue taking tons of splash damage. It looks like he's going to isolate the 6th base of Serral. Serral finally losing this last bastion of economy. It's going to go down there. Rogue finally does some damage. The Ling's going to swing in at the same time. He's looking for damage anywhere he can, and he finds a few Hydras. But remember, these Zerglings don't have attack upgrades. They just don't do that much damage.
And a couple of the Hydras save themselves, turning themselves into Lurker cocoons. He goes for the main base. Rogue desperate here with whatever he has. Some Lurkers run in here from Serral to try and kill this base. It's very low in hit points, but it looks like they get deflected back for now.
Yeah, good defense there by Rogue. Even here in a position where he has so few tools left in his kit, he is able to just create little problems, but Serral, never missing a beat, is able to defend. He's blocking everything left and right. There's still 8 Vipers alive. Not many Lurkers left here for Serral. It's mostly Hydra Viper, but he doesn't really need anything else. With those blinding clouds above, this should be the army you need. Serral's up 30 supply, blinding clouds going down. And there we go, Rogue wants to take a fight. He's got the Roach advantage. Serral's caught out of a position here. The blinding clouds, though, are massive. And that army has to pull back.
Rogue getting deflected. It seemed he had the numbers there in that particular part of the map, but he is running out of steam physically and in-game. Serral coming down to the south end here. Rogue scrambling his defenses, but there's just numbers here for the Finnish Zerg again. He comes through. He's been so patient, almost painfully patient, but that is getting to him towards this series win here. Going to just cut Rogue off from this hatchery for a free, easy base kill.
He's just the perfect player. Serral here, never taking the risks on the offense. He's the best defensive player, the best late game player here in the Zerg arsenal. He's showing such strong play. Rogue looking for angles. He keeps running into the wall that is Serral, but the Hydra's swinging in from 2 sides. Serral wrapping around that army.
This will be the last fight. Rogue is out. Serral wins and gets himself a grand final appearance for the first time here at BlizzCon. The Serral versus Stats GSL versus the World Grand Final will be rematched here in Anaheim to see who is the greatest player of 2018. What a series, Pig.
With a 3-1 scoreline, no less. We've seen the 2 best Zerg players in the world go head-to-head. And what a show it was. That last game really had it all. We got to see a masterful series of plays on both sides, but the defense in the end too strong. He's just a wall. He's a rock. He cannot be broken. Rogue threw absolutely everything he had at him, but Serral's still the one standing on that stage right now.
And he'll just have to have one more series to see if he can be the champion. But before that, let's go to the stage with Smix and our semi-final winner, Serral.
Serral, all eyes eyes were on you in 2018. 4 WCS titles, GSL versus the world, and now, for the first time ever, we have a non-Korean in the grand finals of the WCS Global Finals.
Yeah, I know. Feels incredible. I wasn't expecting this to come when I came here, so I know it feels incredible.
And throughout this series, you were up against such a tough opponent. Talk to me about Lost and Found, because there were a lot of scary moments in that game. It turned into a very long, close game. So at what point did you realize that you had done it?
Yeah, the game was pretty hard. I think there was multiple niduses. I noticed him too late, and he got in. So it was a bit hard occasionally, but I mean, in that kind of games, you kind of just know when you trade better that you're actually winning, and I felt like I was trading mainly better. I was killing all his Vipers always, winning all the Viper battles, so I felt like I had a pretty good control of the game whole time, but I also knew that I was one base down pretty much the whole game, so I'm not sure, but I felt like I was in control. I'm very comfortable in those games as well.
Comfortable indeed. Calm, cool, and collected, and now you're headed to the grand finals. We've seen your ZVZ, and now it's time to show us your ZVP, because you are going up against Stats. Now, the last time you played Stats, it was 4-3 in the grand finals of GSL versus the world, where you came out on top. Can we see a repeat?
Yeah, sure.
There you have it. Cyril is moving forward to the grand finals. Congratulations once again. Caleres, back to you guys.
This is the WCS Global Finals. Ladies and gentlemen around the world, here at BlizzCon, it is a magical moment, to say the least. The first time in esports history for StarCraft 2 that a non-Korean has found their way into the grand final. I'm joined here by Nathanias, Tasteless, Todd. I think all of us here at the desk were having heart palpitations in that last game. I think, gentlemen, definitively, aside from the series as a whole, that last game, Tasteless, for me, was the best Zerg versus Zerg of all time.
That was one of the best RTS games I've ever seen. I could not believe how well they were both playing. They had totally different approaches. You could see that Cyril really was focused on trying to trade as efficiently as possible to not overextend. And Rogue, he wanted to invest everything into that aggression to try to close it out. It was so good. It was so crazy. I am just blown away.
These two players are just superhumans. Even being able to take a look in their first-person point of view, that was so amazing. Every single time my jaw dropped, and they're just so impressive. Cyril, so patient throughout that last game, just kind of sitting back and barely even looked nervous. Like he was being sieged the whole game. Niduses non-stop, just holds on against everything. And I love that we ended up this series with a really long game, by the way. These two, they're not just the best two Zergs in the world, they're the two best Zergs at the late game. And we finally got one of those really late game situations here in this mirror. And was it a show?
I mean, Nathanias, I barely even remember the rest of the series because the last game was so good. It was amazing. I can't believe.
I mean, Cyril's control was just perfect. Every time you think he's getting caught, no, he's got something finishing up. He's got a flank coming in. He has an attack. The way he used those Overlord drops, like he was dropping Marines into his opponent's base, constantly hitting, constantly attacking, was insane. And to keep up that speed, especially in that Lost and Found game, for how much time you are constantly going that fast, to be able to keep up that pace is insane. It is so difficult. It is so exhausting for the players. And he went the complete distance all the way till the final moments. It's some of the best StarCraft I've ever seen.
Yeah, to be honest, we're going to have to go back and study that game. There were so many things that happened there. It is so hard to summarize, but oh my God, 100 complex decisions had to be made on both sides. You will never see a game that looks like that. Like close to that similar pattern series again.
It's a game that's going to be talked about for years to come, I'm sure, but let's talk about the implications that this has now. Because Todd, Cyril is in the global finals. He's going up against Stat. And for all intents and purposes, this is unheard of in StarCraft, period, when it comes to how his road has been to that global finals here. Cyril, he could take it all.
He has lost a single map. That's it. That was the only map that he's lost here in this tournament. He went through SOS, Zest, Dark, and now Rogue. Like, this is an insane road to the grand finals, and surely after what we just saw, he has to be the favorite. Like, Stats has looked good all the time. He's Mr. Super Solid, but Cyril is just it feels like he's on another level.
At the start of the year, we talked about how Cyril was such a scary player, you know, and then he comes and he takes the first title, and then he gets the second, and all of a sudden we're building up this thing where how can he compete against the Korean players? How about the rest of the world? And he's kept that promise that he's made, that he's just going to keep playing. He's not worried about anybody, and it's insane. 4 WCS titles, GSL versus the world, and being in the grand finals at BlizzCon. What could possibly be a more insane achievement this year or ever for a non-Korean StarCraft player?
Yeah, Nick?
Look, when he won GSL versus the world, the #1 search term or search topic on Naver, which is the kind of like the Korean Google, was that match. Koreans were upset that they had been challenged. Koreans are used to being the very best at StarCraft. We've got a rematch here. And this is a lot of pressure on Stas. Korea wants him to win, but I don't know. I mean, Cyril's basically looking unstoppable.
You know, everybody's been talking about that coming up showdown, potential showdown of Maru against Cyril. I feel like I don't even care about that anymore. It's all about stats. Maru wasn't good enough to make it to the finals. He got taken out by SOS, who then got taken out in turn by Stats. It's all about Stats trying to take out the Cyril that just has looked borderline invincible. He finally bled in that last match, but it was just a single map.
And once again, we're showing that the players that can play consistent, solid, adaptable StarCraft the best are the players that make it all the way to the end. And to me, that's just made watching these guys such a treat. I cannot wait for this final.
There's a bit of electric in the air here at BlizzCon as we have Finland going up against South Korea. Let's take a look at that bracket. So we can tell you that our grand final is Stats going up against Cyril. I can barely keep my composure myself for going into this. And it's going to be a best of 7. The last time these two players met, it was 4-3, and Cyril conquered Korea. Can he conquer the world is the big question on everyone's mind, on everyone's lips. Let's take a look at the schedule as well, as our 2 semifinals have concluded throughout the day, and things are getting very, very tense now. 3-0 to Stats at the beginning of the day, going up against SOS, and 3-1 to Cyril, going up against Rogue. Gentlemen, Cyril versus Stats.
We don't deserve this. We don't deserve it.
We're not worthy.
Pack up shop. We're done. It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
Cyril has just looked so good against Protoss, and just in general, that if I was Stats, I'd be quaking in my boots somewhere back there. But Stats has looked so good himself. We deserve this, all right? This is like
We earned this, actually. I'm changing my mind.
He's changed his mind.
We waited a long time.
This is an insane grand finals between 2 guys that have looked on top of the world, and hopefully, you know, it delivers and we get a 4-3, but they've both got so much momentum, like anything's possible up in that grand finals.
At this point, I'm just happy regardless. It doesn't matter. All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We are going to go to a break now. It is going to be a prolonged break of about 20 minutes so that Cyril is allowed a little bit of breathing time, since obviously we had our semi-final #1 conclude a bit earlier, and that gave Stats some breathing time as well. A huge thank you to everyone tuning around the world here for the WCS Global Finals 2018. Esports history has already been made. The legacy of one of these players is about to be written in the chronicles of StarCraft 2 as well. Join us after the break when we have our grand final. It's going to be a best of 7 between Stats and Cyril.
The 2018 StarCraft 2 World Championship Series Global Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Corsair, T-Mobile, Samsung SSD, and NVIDIA.
In the Overwatch League, you're hyping up the chat, taking your team to hashtag trending, and spreading memes at tracer level speed.
All while watching us cap the point.
Speed like that deserves a network that can keep up. With T-Mobile, get all the Overwatch League you can handle with coast-to-coast coverage. Now your arena is where you make it.
They walked on through the dense, dark trees. Harry had the nasty feeling they were being watched.
The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting.
Yes, she thought, laying down her brush in extreme fatigue. I have had my vision.
The fascists can be beaten. It's in our hands.
The 2018 StarCraft II World Championship Series, better known as the WCS, is a year-long event in which players from around the world face off to showcase their skills in the pinnacle of StarCraft competition. There are 2 regions in which players seek WCS points, with the ultimate goal of competing at the global finals in search to become the next global champion. These 2 regions are the WCS Circuit and WCS Korea. WCS Korea features the world's most prestigious StarCraft II tournaments, the Global StarCraft League, GSL, and the GSL Super Tournament. The WCS Circuit differs from its Korean counterpart. Players compete in a series of StarCraft II weekend tournaments held around the globe. The year also includes a global event, IEM Katowice, where top-ranked players face off in front of one of the largest StarCraft II audiences in the world. Combined, the system features a total prize pool of over $2 million, with stops across Asia, Europe, and North America. At the end of the year, 16 of the best performing players will have secured their spots in the global finals. The winner of IEM Katowice, the winners of the 3 GSL seasons, the winners of the 4 WCS circuit events, the top 4 seeds from the WCS Korea standings, and the top 4 seeds from the WCS circuit standings. In 2018, Serral won all 4 out of 4 WCS circuit events, and as a result, instead of 4 seeds from the WCS circuit standings, 7 will advance to the global finals. In addition, Maru also won 3 out of 3 GSL seasons, and as a result, instead of 4 seeds from the WCS Korea standings, 6 will advance to the global finals. These players then head to the WCS Global Finals at BlizzCon in Anaheim, California. At the most important and prestigious StarCraft II event of the year, the finalists compete to claim the title of 2018 Global Champion.
Everyone has their own path to follow. Mine began here. I'm from Pornainen, Finland. We have around 5,000 people here, so I guess you could call it a village. And we have only one restaurant. I liked growing up in Pornainen a lot. I think my brother Jone is 4 years older. We had a very close relationship. We kind of just did everything together.
Pojat ovat olleet aina Jonne ja Joonen toistensa parhaat ystävät.
Eli ne on yhdessä tehnyt asioita ihan pienestä asti, vaikka niillä on kuitenkin se 4 vuotta ikäero.
I think I looked up my brother. Everything he does, he goes full into. And I mean, I try to do the same, but probably I have a bit slower start.
I'm Jonne Sotala and I'm Serral's brother. I'm attending Seoul National University to study mathematics. I think it's true, he's followed my footsteps. We went to the same school. When I started playing StarCraft, my brother also followed my lead, and when we started playing professionally.
To be honest, I felt like he was always a bit better in everything we did. One of the biggest interests we both had was gaming always, and that's why going to StarCraft was very easy for us. So when he started playing the game, I started playing the game as well.
I always beat him. And I was not the good brother that lets him win sometimes. Ever since he was really young kid, I think he got used to getting beaten up by his older brother.
He never let me win, but it's very bad if he would let me win. I need to achieve my wins. Yeah, I mean, you learn the most from losing. So.
I think I was maybe kind of like an obstacle to him that he overcame, and I think from that he kind of went off to the skies.
Serral is so good. Is really starting to look like he's just going to be that monster who hangs around for years to come.
Outside the lurk is separating a couple of these units as well.
GG! Crack! And Serral is going to be the first ever WCS champion.
musta tosi upeeta. Että onhan tää meille koko perheelle iso asia.
He may even be on a path to win all 4 WCS events this year.
Kun Joona oli lapsi, niin ei voitu kuvitellakaan tätä menestystä tai ei osattu ajatellakaan.
It feels great. I have been waiting for this for so long. I'm gonna try to get more of those trophies.
GG! Cyril has done it yet again! 3 victories in a row for the Finnish phenom. This is an unrivaled...
I'm flying to Seoul for the TSL versus the World event. I'll see my brother again. I'm looking forward to seeing him. Just gonna hang out and have some fun time together.
Based on my experience, after Joona has finished, he's gonna miss his esports career. It's probably more regret than sadness, but I was kind of split between pro gaming and studies. The fact that I didn't go completely full on pro gaming, I don't really want to regret it, but at the same time, you always kinda... You also would want to see what would happen if you like do everything you can. Maybe I could be also in his shoes right now. Of course, I was really happy for him, but I also felt a bit sad because that was also my dream. Yeah.
I mean, we have never talked about it too much in general, but I felt like always when it comes to decisions like that, you always have a bit of regrets. I think everyone has to stop at some point. Eventually, I think I have to follow my brother's path. Probably just gonna live a very normal life. I'm probably gonna regret it a bit, but at the same time understand that this is a necessary step.
We like playing games, so we just wanted to meet up and do what we usually do. We're gonna play StarCraft at the PC ban. Yeah, of course I want to show my father that I still can do it and beat him after all these years. I think he was losing almost the whole time. I think he was smiling because it's kind of expected that he should be winning, but but because I was giving him hard time, it kind of was funny at the same time.
When I was smiling, the game was already over. The TSL versus the World event is gonna be very hard with all the top players like Rogue and Maru. I'm confident I can beat anyone if I'm playing my game and playing good.
You know, one thing about Cyril, he doesn't strike me as somebody who's phased at all by who his opponent is or what the stakes are.
I'm not too nervous in events. That's just a place where I do my work, so it's kind of where I belong.
Cyril is keeping Kalazur busy.
Cyril looking like he's poised to take the 3-0. He's up so high in supply here, and it's just too much. GG! Cyril! He's just too damn good. If he can beat Innovation, then the WCS fans out there are going to start to believe. The front door's open, those legs are going to get on that tank, and it's going to be lights out for Innovation. GG!
Cyril's so dominant. It's so crazy. How good is this kid, Faceless? How good is he?
Right now, Cyril pushing forward. Dark is on his last legs right now.
Massive damage there from Cyril.
Cyril, the master of moves like this.
There's nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and I do believe that Cyril has done it. GG!
Oh my God, Cyril has now topped Innovation. He has now gone 3-1 against Dark, and Cyril goes to the GSL versus the World Finals to face off against the Ultimate Challenge in stats.
This is it though, Tasteless. GSL versus the World, the all-star game of StarCraft 2. We've had the 8 best players from around the world against the 8 best players from Korea for the last 4 days, and we're down to 2. This is the greatest thing that you could have a Game 7. It's rare to hit Game 7.
Cyril's entire life has been leading up to this moment.
Yeah, I really like what Stats is doing here. He is looking really, really good at the moment. If Cyril does not figure this out, he's going to be in a ton of trouble.
Cyril is starting to lose too many workers too quickly. Cyril needs to hold this attack off or he will lose this game for sure.
Oh my god, and at the end of the day, Stats is forced back. Oh man, Stats cannot be happy with this right now.
Yeah, Cyril handling this beautifully. He's coming forward. He doesn't have many more force fields left. The roaches are coming up.
Oh my god, that's so many roaches coming up. The force fields get thrown out. The Immortals starting to take damage. The shield batteries just aren't ready. Can Cyril break through right now?
Cyril's coming forward. GG. It is done. Cyril is your GSL versus the world champion.
That was a proud moment for me. I felt great happiness. I can't remember exactly what I saw, but I did see him there clapping.
Actually, I think my best time of my life is seeing my brother fulfill his dreams. At the same time, I've been able to fulfill my dreams through him. I think, so actually right now, I think it's one of my best times.
Yeah, I think my future has cooling. Eventually, I think I have to follow my brother's path in university. We're just gonna live a very normal life. I kinda always dream about the normal life. Like, gaming career can't go forever. Right now I'm on the top, so I feel like I really want to keep this going, and I'm trying my hardest to keep it going, and trying to make the most of it all the time. My name is Joona Sotala, and I'm a StarCraft 2 pro gamer.
Two worlds collide. Two rival regions. It's us against them. It's you versus him. It's 1 versus 1. With the hope of the world comes the weight of expectation. A true battle of strength. The time is here. The time is now. A new age is upon us.
Since the beginning of StarCraft 2, every single final has looked Korea versus Korea. However, today, things have been shaken up. We have Korea going up against Finland as our two players go head-to-head with one another in a best-of-7. One of our players has a date with Destiny, and one of these players will end up on the Hall of Fame right over there, past that crowd, as they crown themselves a champion. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Analysis Concave, as I have to my right-hand side Pig in control and Rotterdam. Guys, it couldn't have gone any better. Stats versus Cyril is our grand final. They played a few months ago. That's in the history books. Cyril was victorious there. Pig, this is going to be quite the final.
I mean, it's been the thing we've been seeing build up over this year is Cyril and his legacy, right? We've seen him grow from a few years ago. The pro players were saying, this guy is dominating the European ladder. And we've seen him gain that experience. He's developed into such a strong player, and he's really just, somehow he seems unflappable up there. Every single series, we've been excited for players in the past but they've often crumbled under pressure. They've often come to these tense moments and fallen apart, but Serral is just, he's a steam train right now, and we're getting this amazing rematch of that grand finals at GSL vs. the World. We just saw some clips of it. This is the dream come true.
Jeff? In StarCraft, look, we've been around a long time. We've really enjoyed this. There's been so many scenarios and times where we're like, wouldn't it be cool if, and what if this player takes us there? We've had people try. We've had our Stefanos, our Hucks, Idra. We've had these heroes try in the past, but never have we ever had someone actually get to the precipice and look into that void and say, I can do it. And right now, it feels like it's that scarier feeling where Serral's the favorite, perhaps? I mean, he already beat him in another final.
Yep.
So it's like too good to be true. I'm waiting for something to scare the crap out of me, but we're right here. It could happen, and I cannot wait.
Esports history is something that we often throw around, right? Whenever something cool happens, it's like, we're making esports history, but if this is not historic, I mean, then I don't know what is. We've all been watching these games for the last 7, 8 years. And we've always, like Jeff said, we've dreamed of moments like this. And now it's not just somebody that squeezed into the finals, that had a little bit of luck with the brackets. No, Serral has just been dominating, not just this tournament, but throughout the entire year. I mean, this is so sick, James.
Well, let's talk about our first player coming into the grand final. Stats, the Protoss, the Shield of Ire, who has been able to dispatch every single problem along his way. And coming into this grand finals, I think it's fair that he has established himself on the top of the bracket throughout his group's pick as the man to be able to challenge for his first World Championship.
You know, he's been almost so dominant that we haven't actually watched as many long games with him as we have with some of the other players. He's been crushing his way through this. Special looked so good in that TVP. He dropped only one map to him. He brought games back from the brink of defeat. He was down hugely in supply, and he's just been on fire. Stats has crushed that semi-final 3-0 as well. He almost hasn't even warmed up this entire tournament. He's just been crushing the opposition.
Talk to me about Stats' PVZ. Talk to me about how he dispatches of someone like Serral. I want to get down to the nitty-gritty of this. I don't want to talk about the roads here. I want to talk about how Stats beats Serral.
Well, we saw it back in that GSL versus the World, and it's funny to watch that in contrast to what Zest and SOS weren't able to do, right? Serral, amazing defense. He does all the things really well, but I think what stylistically makes this so exciting is that Stats is the equal counterpart in defense. Any kind of aggression that's going to come out of Serral is going to be dangerous in that it could get completely stopped and wiped out and then turn on its face. And that's why this is such a great matchup, because we should see the full breadth of a PVZ. It's not going to be like well, Serral does timing attacks and that has to work, otherwise he loses. Both these players go into this with all the weapons in front of them.
And to that point, Rotterdam, 99.9% of the population of StarCraft pros out there never really want to take someone like Serral to the late game. I think Stats is one of the guys who happily would, and all the way through this grand final.
Yeah, when it comes to late game army control, I think there is no other Protoss out there. He's incredibly good in controlling multiple spellcasters at once, and at the same time transitioning on the right moment to the ultimate Protoss army, which of course consists of a lot of carriers. Now there are Zerg players, the moment 7 carriers are out, they're willing to give up. Serral's not one of them. Serral has shown us that he's capable of dealing with it, but Stats, if he gets there while being at least even, if not ahead, there's a very good chance that he can take that strong mid-game to that late game of carriers and then potentially seal the deal.
Look for strong lurker play, that we've been talking about it in ZVZ, and that's been something that Serral said once he gets there, he's unbeatable.
Yeah.
He was talking about ZVZ, but to get to carriers, you're going to have to survive Serral's mid-game, which is that lurker time.
Well, let's talk about Serral now. Let's focus on him. We've seen it just before. The Finnish Phenom has been able to dispatch his opponents as well, handedly, in quick fashion. Again, we saw, even in just that last match, the best Zerg versus Zerg, in my mind, of all time. And Pig, coming into this grand final, he knows his ZVP is good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's kind of cool because we haven't seen that much Protoss vs. Zerg from Stats. We haven't seen that much Zerg vs. Protoss from Serral in this tournament, but we've seen so much in the months leading up to this. And Serral, he's the guy who is very hard to pin down and knock out of a series. We saw Stats so close the last time they played, and there were these sick, fancy maneuvers, sneaky charge.arc on attacks, catching him off guard. But Serral has this magic skill to survive when he looks like he's lost. There's games where there are 20 zealots in his base, and he's fighting with workers and queens, and he somehow hangs on. And it's just this ability to survive these crazy assaults, which makes Serral very hard to finish off in a Protoss vs. Zerg game.
I mean, I think if there is one thing that sets Serral truly apart from all the other Zerg players out there, is that he can get value of units that are considered useless in a certain point of the game.
Yeah.
A lot of Protoss builds will try to force out some of these basic Zerg units to slow down the economy. Then at one point, Zerg players feel like they're stuck with these inferior units, and they can't do much with it anymore. Serral is so good in finding value out of roaches in a phase in a game where you don't expect roaches to contribute much anymore. He is incredibly good at not throwing away everything at once, but slowly but steady, finding openings. He gets more value out of his basic Zerg units than any other Zerg out there. I think that's what makes him truly special.
Jeff, final thoughts. Adaptability. Serral had weird stuff thrown on that hatch block maneuver by Rogue. I know it's a different matchup, but that's something we don't see almost ever. Serral made it look like it was something he's encountered a million times before, and that's what gives me great confidence going into this series, that whatever's thrown at him, he will have the answer. You got to outplay him to beat him.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. All notes out the window now. It is time here for our grand finals, our best of 7. BlizzCon, I want to hear you shake this place to the foundations as we get ready for the StarCraft WCS Global Finals.
GSL, SSL, 4 WCS titles, and GSL vs. the World. These are the titles already won by our 2 grand finalists, but just one title eludes them. Can the Shield Divider take home that WCS trophy, or will we witness StarCraft history and see a non-Korean become the undisputed best player in the world? Get ready, it is Stats and